Hey guys, how's it going? First of all, I know that some of you might think I'm not being very inclusive by referring to my audience as guys, but statistically speaking, my audience is actually 100% male. I'm not sure what that says about me, but anyway. We got an exciting video for you today. We got some beef between the king of YouTube fitness, rightly or wrongly, Athlean X, Jeff Cavalier, and two respected, though admittedly much smaller content creators, Johnni Shreve and Naliwalyj, who had the audacity to criticize Athlean X, the bicep god himself, on an exercise.
I'm sure you've seen this popular curling variation show up in your feed at some point, but that's probably where it should stay. Waiter curls might look cool and unique, but if you're training with the goal of maximizing your arm gain, there's just no good reason to choose this over a basic standard curl. It doesn't optimally line up the resistance with your biceps, and it's more awkward to grip and balance, which is the opposite of what you want for hypertrophy.
The exercise is the waiter curl, an exercise that I find to be a little kitschy, but Jeff Cavalier either invented it or popularized the exercise to keep up with the constant need to generate views. The problem with the bicep exercises, there are not 17,000 different ways to flex your elbows. So in order to keep making content, sometimes you have to get a little creative. Now, before I continue on to the meat and potatoes of this video, if you want to get some cheap, pure, and tested supplements, check out this video's sponsor, bulksupplements.com. Link in the description. And while you're at it, why don't you hit that subscribe channel? It's free, and you can always unsubscribe if you decide that I'm too uninteresting. Now, here's the thing. I'm an open-minded guy, believe it or not. I want bigger biceps. 16.5 isn't cutting it for me anymore. So I'm not against trying unconventional exercises, so I gave it a shot. Here's the problem. I've been working out for 7 years and my arms are still only 16.5 inches. And so here's the thing. I tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. So we're going to try a Athlean X exercise just to see if I can finally break that 17-inch barrier. Okay, so here we go. This here is a weight that's appropriate for me. 70 pounds divided in two, that's 35 pounds per arm.
I just want to win it, bro.
Okay, and there we go. Woo! Let's do it. One. Oh man, that feels awful on the wrist. Ugh. And I can't go all the way down. But I'm sure that my biceps have already grown. Now, Johnni Shreve sums up my issue with the exercises with a 1-minute short. There's a shorter range of motion and awkward hand placement, and having the awkward grip be the limiting factor of the exercise instead of your bicep strength.
Waiter curls. This thing, I can't stand it. I just, it's not the best. Like, look at my range of motion. If I want to go all the way down, I got to do this. And from here, and then think about it. This is 50 pounds. Like, I can do any other supinated exercise better than doing this. This is going to give you a select amount of weight, a terrible range of motion, weird way to hold it, just not good, just don't do it.
I will say that a shortened range of motion in and of itself isn't really a bad thing. There are lots of reasons to do mechanically advantageous exercises. Usually it's to increase the amount of load that you can use on a lift so you can get stronger at a similar lift, like a block pull to your deadlift, for example. If we're to use the biceps as an example, you could purposefully reduce the range of motion by doing a seated bicep curl, where that'd be one of those overloading exercises where you can increase the amount of weight you usually use on your conventional curls, so that once you go back to your traditional bicep curls with the full range of motion, all of a sudden those lower weights feel much easier, and you don't get that overloading effect on the waiter curl because of how awkward the movement is. So you end up having to use such a light weight that it actually takes away from the benefit of having a shortened range of motion to begin with. And that brings me to the other issue I have with the exercise. When I tried it, I hurt my wrists, and I was using pretty light weights. I was only using a 70-pound dumbbell with 2 hands, which is about 35 pounds per hand, which is actually relatively light weights for my biceps. But taking my wrists through a compromised position with those 35 pounds made it so that the overloading effect was pretty much non-existent. Either you need to use such light weight that it's suboptimal for growth, or use okay weights and then you snap your wrist up. Now, Jeff, believe it or not, did the unimaginable. He realized he was wrong and he ate crow. He published a retraction video called "Stop Doing This Bicep Curl, I'm Begging You," which is actually very surprising considering the fact that he did not offer a retraction when he told his millions of followers that the best way to squat every day was to let all the air out of your gut as you go down so that you can flex your abs.
Now do it the way I'm showing you here. Breathe out and tighten down. Contract your abs forcefully. Be conscious of how hard you're contracting your abs. Make sure that you've expelled the air and that you're tightening up from the inside out. You're creating...
No, of course that was clickbait. Instead, Jeff doubled down and kind of just strawman the arguments that people were making against the exercise. Well, let's just have a look at what he says about the exercise and see if I can offer some of my own insights on this controversy. This video is pretty long, and for the most part, unless you are already chugging the AX Kool-Aid by the gallon, is pretty uninteresting if I'm being honest. So for the purposes of this video, I will stick to the counter arguments that he makes to the criticisms that I have with the exercise.
Now when it comes to the waiter curl, yes, you are cutting off a little bit of that range of motion at the bottom, but actually it might be in this case to your benefit, because we know that those bottom 20 degrees or so are not really helping you to build bigger biceps. The external load placed on the biceps is minimal in that range of motion. It's the same reason why you may have seen people perform a seated barbell curl. They're intentionally taking away those bottom 20 degrees because they know that the biceps isn't necessarily the most active there, but 2 other muscles, the brachialis and brachioradialis are. So if you can limit the range of motion to the more effective range of motion for the biceps, well, you can do more growing from it.
Okay, so now he's saying that the exercise only limits the last 20 degrees of the range of motion, which isn't important for muscle gain. I'm not sure why he's saying that 20 degrees range of motion matters if you need to use baby weights to even do the lift to begin with. Limiting the last 20 degrees when you're compensating for that reduced range of motion with proportionally larger weights like you would with a seated bicep curl makes sense. But as I've already said, you don't get that benefit from the waiter curl. So in this case, the reduced range of motion is still a strike against the waiter curl. And just as a quick aside to show you how impractical the lift is, pay close attention to Jeff's hands while he's demonstrating the movement. He can't even get through the movement without having to bend his fingers backwards on the up part of the movement. Arguing that the waiter curl is a superior bicep builder is like arguing that the fingertip push-up is a superior chest builder. Both cases, the limiting factor will be how much punishment your fingers and wrists can take and not how much your chest or bicep can take. Now, the other argument that he made that I have a little bit of a gripe with is where he goes over how safe the exercise actually is. And if I'm being honest, I was a little surprised at how sort of bad the argument is.
I want to try to restore is range of motion into extension, because I know by doing so, I can increase the strength of the grasp and the stability of the wrist joint. So why would you want to do it on this exercise? By doing so, you're not just increasing the safety of the movement, you're also increasing the effectiveness of it, because you're increasing something called perpendicularity. And that is increasing the time that the downward force of gravity is going to be acting directly down onto that surface of the dumbbell, which is going to increase the amount of tension felt by the biceps through a greater range of motion. And by allowing the wrist to move into its naturally stronger and secure joint position, we're killing two birds with one stone. So once again here, Jeb, we're just not seeing eye to eye on this.
Alright, and just so we're clear here, Jeff's trying to link two things that are entirely unrelated. He's saying that, and I quote, by allowing the wrist to move into a naturally safer and stronger wrist position, you can kill two birds with one stone, end quote. And he's right. But the problem is that the waiter curl actually doesn't do that. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It places the wrist in an unnatural and unsafe position. If you listen carefully, he doesn't actually say that the waiter curl puts the wrist in a naturally safer and stronger position. So I think I caught him lying by omission, which, if we're being clear, is still a lie. Jeff here is saying that the exercise is safe because the weight goes up and down in a straight path, which is actually kind of outrageous if I'm being honest. The reason that people prefer to move weights in a straight bar path is not because it's safer per se. It's actually because it's the more efficient way to move a bar, and that's what would allow you to move the most amount of weight. And that's why in the sport of powerlifting, the deadlift and the squat follow a straight up and down bar path. There is one exception to that rule though. Bench press. The bench press follows a J curve. Now why is that? Is it because a straight path is not more efficient for the bench press? Of course not. It's actually because for the safety of your shoulder joint, you need to follow that bar path in order to avoid injury. The fact that the dumbbell follows a straight bar path has no bearing on the safety of the exercise. The range of motion that the wrist needs to go through in a compromised open hand position is what makes the waiter curl a dangerous exercise.
I know he is. A big one.
No, you. Yeah, that's the best you could do. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, each of you will do what you want to do. And if you really, really want to, you have an overwhelming desire to perform this exercise, my recommendation would be for you to do it as your last exercise of your bicep workout, so that the baby weights that you need to use in order to perform the lift safely is not so much of an issue, because you've already pre-fatigued your biceps doing some actual bicep work beforehand. And I will say that there's no way that Jeff Cavaliere built the biceps that he built with the waiter curl. He spent a large portion of his channel before he started promoting the waiter curl, advocating for these heavy overloading exercises, whether that be the weighted chin-ups or the barbell curls. So the weighted curl only came after, and he started promoting it, even though by that point he had already built a large set of arms. So I think that you should put that into consideration before you put too much stock into what he says the one good exercise is. Now here's one thing you can rely on, and that is quality supplements that will help you to put in the hard work that you need to do in order to grow a solid pair of biceps. Bulksupplements.com, with well over 100,000 positive reviews on their website and Amazon, bulksupplements.com is the leading brand of over 500 pure, clean vitamins and supplements. They are trusted by myself and millions for their quality products that are free of artificial flavors, sweeteners, or fillers, all found at the best prices available. If you want to get your very own supplements, please consider going through my affiliate link, where you will not only get a 5% discount on your purchase, but you will also help to support this channel so that I can justify continuing to make free content for your entertainment. If you don't want to buy anything, you don't have to. Just liking this video and subscribing to my channel goes a long way. And if you like a little bit of drama mixed with some education, then click that button and subscribe. Thanks as always for watching. Bye.